Welcome to today's explainer. Look, if you lift weights, there's this hidden, almost invisible risk lurking in your gym routine right now. Literally every single day, millions of people are unknowingly putting immense strain on their bodies, rep after rep just chasing that pump. So today, we're going to break down the biomechanics of 5 totally normalized movements that are secretly wreaking havoc on your joints.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for today. We're looking at the upright row trap, the false strength of kipping pull-ups, the Smith machine illusion, the massive surgery risk of bench dips, and the behind-the-neck lat pull-down myth. Plus, a final tally to wrap it all up so you know exactly what to avoid.
But before we hit that very first exercise, we need to ground ourselves in a pretty harsh reality. 1 in 3. If you lift, there's a 1 in 3 chance you're going to end up needing actual medical help for an injury within the next 5 years. Let that sink in. And usually it doesn't start with some massive dramatic crash. It starts with a tiny, nagging pain that you just kind of push through until, well, you can't anymore. And honestly, a huge chunk of those injuries, they come straight from our first exercise.
Exercise number 1, the upright row trap, silent shoulder damage.
Now, the upright row seems super basic, right? You're just pulling a bar or dumbbells up under your chin to hit your shoulders and traps. But structurally, it's literally like dragging a rope over a sharp edge. That's exactly what's happening mechanically. You're forcing your shoulders into this incredibly unnatural, internally rotated position. So every single time you pull that weight up, you are squishing those delicate shoulder tendons right against the bone. At first, you probably won't feel a thing, but over time, just like that rope on a sharp edge, the fibers of your tendons start to fray. They weaken, and one day they just completely snap.
And you know, the data absolutely backs this up. A staggering 36% of all weightlifting-related injuries are shoulder injuries. By the time you actually feel the ache from an upright row, the damage is kind of already done. Things like rotator cuff tears or impingements, they do not just go away with a couple of rest days. They require months of grueling rehab. I mean, even pro athletes with access to the best medical care on the planet aren't safe here. Dozens of careers across the NFL, the NBA, and Olympic weightlifting have been completely derailed by these exact types of shoulder injuries. It's just not worth rolling the dice on this one.
Which brings us to number 2, kipping pull-ups, or what I like to call false strength.
And this brilliantly illustrates the whole problem. You see this everywhere now, don't you? People swinging wildly, cranking out dozens of reps, making it look so effortless. But here's the thing. A strict pull-up relies on pure muscle strength, tension, and absolute control. A kipping pull-up, you're basically acting like a human pendulum. You're throwing your body into the air and just letting gravity slam your joints into completely compromised positions. You're basically cheating your way into a movement that your body just isn't prepared to handle.
The collateral damage here is intense. Think of it like driving a car full speed over deep potholes every single day. Eventually, the axles are going to give out, and that is exactly what kipping does to your spine, your elbows, your wrists, and your shoulders. All that violent, extreme motion breaks those joints down. We're talking herniated discs that take years to heal, or elbow tendinitis so bad you can barely pick up a bag of groceries. Once you replace control with momentum, surgery suddenly becomes a very real option.
Let's move on to our third culprit, the Smith machine illusion, a totally false sense of safety.
So you walk into the gym on leg day, and that bar on the nice, smooth, sliding track looks like the safest bet, right? But compare it to a real free weight squat. A free squat lets your body move the way it's supposed to. Your hips, knees, and ankles make these tiny micro-adjustments, perfectly balancing the load across your muscles. The Smith machine, though, it locks you into a completely rigid, unnatural track. Because the bar cannot move naturally with your unique biomechanics, guess what takes all that weird stress? Your joints, not your muscles. One awkward lockout and your knee could literally snap backward. Or you might wake up with a locked lower back, a slipped disc, or severe sciatica.
Actually, it is incredibly telling that 0 Olympic athletes squat on a Smith machine. None. No professional powerlifter uses one. You won't find a single elite strength coach in the world who recommends it. And why is that? Because true strength is all about control, and the Smith machine literally steals that control right from you. You are always just one bad rep away from a mistake you can't undo.
All right, moving right along to number 4, bench dips, an absolute surgery risk. These are classic. You can do them on a chair at home for a great arm burn. But what you might not feel happening is that your shoulder capsule is being yanked insanely far backward, way past its natural range under load. So the crucial point is this terrifying number right here. $15,000. That is the high-end average cost for rotator cuff surgery in the US, and that doesn't even factor in months and months of physical therapy. Your shoulder just isn't designed to dip deep into extension while holding up your entire body weight. You're stretching weak ligaments right to their absolute breaking point, risking a massive medical bill, all for, what, a little triceps pump?
Oh, and the recovery stats? They are grim. If you tear your rotator cuff from something like a deep bench dip, 40% of people never fully recover, even after surgery. And if you're unlucky enough to tear it a second time, your chances of a full recovery drop to almost 0%. Seriously, there are actual viral videos out there of lifters snapping their humerus bone entirely in half doing dips. Because your arm gets locked behind your body, all that immense stress goes straight to the weakest points of the bone.
Finally, we've made it to our fifth dangerous exercise, the behind the neck myth, training for literally nothing. Let's just apply some basic training logic here. Would you sprint before you know how to walk? No, of course not. That makes absolutely zero sense.
Would you willingly load up a bar and deadlift with a completely rounded spine? No way. You know that's just a one-way ticket to a blown-out lumbar disc.
So then why are we still wasting time on this outdated gym myth to get a wider back? Behind the neck pull-downs actually make your lats, the muscles you're literally trying to train, work less than a standard front pull-down, all while you have to awkwardly crane your neck forward just to clear the bar, absolutely crushing your cervical spine in the process.
The crazy reality is, there is zero scientific evidence that pulling a bar behind your head builds a bigger back. Think about it. When was the last time you ever needed to pull something super heavy down behind your own skull? Never. It doesn't happen. The movement simply doesn't exist in sports, in competition, or in real life. All it really does is lead to joint tearing, brutal nerve pain, and chronic headaches. If you actually care about real strength progress, please leave this outdated gym myth in the past. Which brings us to Section 6, the final tally, illusion versus reality. Now, what's really interesting about this summary is how clearly it lays out what we think we're doing versus the actual toll it takes on our bodies. The upright row promises big traps, but really, it delivers frayed tendons. Kipping pull-ups give you the illusion of effortless reps, but guarantee severe joint damage. The Smith machine sells you on a safe, easy track, but puts your knees at serious risk. Bench dips offer a quick triceps pump, but could literally tear your rotator cuff. And the behind the neck pull-down, it promises a wider back while actively crushing your spine. So I want to leave you with this final thought. Is a tiny muscle pump or the ego boost of hitting a few extra reps really worth the risk of permanent, life-altering joint damage? True strength is about control. It's about longevity and training smarter, not just harder. Do me a favor and take a hard look at your workout routine today. Cut out the risky illusions, prioritize the structural health of your body, and keep learning. Thanks so much for exploring this with me on today's Explainer, and I will catch you in the next one.